Coming up on today's wrestling news, Cody Rhodes talks bad blood and disrespect in AEW.
The Young Bucks sink even further on AEW Dynamite.
Backstage reaction to WWE Unreal.
And more on the Vince McMahon car accident.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Michael Hamflett.
And this is the news. And let's talk about the clip that's got everyone talking. Cody Rhodes appearing on the Bill Simmons podcast. The full episode is out today, but there's been a clip released that, has just been all over the internet over the last 24 hours. It's Cody talking about his time in AEW, and the clip starts not with any question from Bill, but by just with Cody saying, there's clearly bad blood, but there's also clearly love and respect. In the end, the way I see it is, if I felt disrespected ever at WWE, that's one thing. That's a company. That's the New York Yankees, effectively. That's the flagship of it all. If I felt there that I was a number on a sheet, maybe. But feeling disrespected at something I built with my friends, that we built, feeling disrespected there, I wouldn't stand for it. Cody continues, crediting Brandy for encouraging him to leave AEW, of course, in 2022, eventually ending up, of course, at WrestleMania 38, rejoining WWE. Brandy and I both, says Cody. I'm so blessed to have her. It was one of those where it was, F it. I did way more here than you think, and you're going to find out the moment I am out the door. And the clip closes with Cody talking about revenge. I don't believe in the cold-hearted, backstabby type of revenge. The greatest revenge on earth is success, says Cody. And I felt like we were sitting on something wonderful, something great, a huge potentially with what I was doing with the American Nightmare as a bad guy, as a good guy, something in between. We were sitting on something magic. And if I'm not going to do it in the house, I literally, with Matt, Nick, and Kenny built, then, buddy, I'm going to do it elsewhere. So sort of peeling back the curtain on something that he hasn't really talked much about with regards to his, I wouldn't say acrimonious departure from AEW, but certainly surprising back in the day, wasn't it? None of us saw it coming.
Yeah, I guess what's happening here is that we are tiptoeing ever closer, detail by detail, into finding the full extent of maybe why Cody Rhodes left AEW beyond the simple act of a wrestler choosing to go to the other organisation when a contract expires, which is part of what happened, obviously. But there was the American Nightmare documentary a couple of years ago, wasn't there, where he just he didn't brush it off as such, but he was like, there's a personal issue. And that was all he was prepared to say, and he spoke with a lot of love in his heart, and I still think there's a sense affection there for the Bucks and for Kenny Omega, and again, he keeps talking about what we built. There's obviously, as there should be, an enormous amount of pride for what the wrestlers were able to accomplish with Tony Khan in the very beginning, to even launch AEW to get off the ground. I can't remember the last time I ever heard him speak so frankly about the status of the American Nightmare character, because I would have to push back slightly. I would have to say, a wrestler, of course, a worker is going to work, and a wrestler is going to talk up their position and standing as much as possible, as they should, right? It's that kind of game. Yeah. The Codyverse was called as such for a reason in 2021 and 2022. Look, he went out on a 5-starer with Sammy Guevara. Hell of a way to leave the territory, but nonetheless.
Well, he went out on an amazing promo, technically, but...
He went out on a promo which almost doesn't look like it exists of this earth when you watch it now. The things he is saying in that promo, and in contrast to the reactions he is getting, which is mixed, which is boos, which is the odd hum. This is not a guy. I mean, he's shooting all right, but he's not exactly firing on all cylinders. It's all over the map, as was the Cody Rhodes character. For some better, but for some worse, I would say, in that period of time. So I would push back on that slightly, but again, I understand why a wrestler would reflect that, and maybe he saw a bigger picture that we couldn't with where all that was going to go. And ultimately, look, the proof of the pudding has been in the eating. The singular lane that WWE has taken with Cody Rhodes as its top babyface since 2022 has proven extremely effective. I would even argue in 2025, one of the worst things about this, the John Cena run, other than the WrestleMania match itself, has been the damage the American Nightmare character has taken. It's the first time we've seen that character get booed in WWE buildings, and it's been a bit weird. I don't like it. It's a flashback to those times when he was trying to play both sides. I'd much rather he get quickly back onto the right side of the divide and stay there when he becomes, fingers crossed, WWE champion again at SummerSlam. It's interesting.
It's a fascinating topic, isn't it?
You just sense more will come as the years go on. I guess it's like as the more people get comfortable with the passage of time, it heals most wounds, but it also at times arrow marches only forward.
Yes.
Over time, like wrestlers, like their lips get a little bit looser, or people can be a bit more honest. Or I would expect this will be one of those stories to track.
NDAs expire.
NDAs expire. People will build pictures, people will kind of keep receipts, as it were. Not necessarily in a nasty way, but people will remember these things getting said, and then more and more might trickle out.
I don't remember us at the time, though, when that Cody promo and not ill will, that sounds wrong, actually, but the sort of weird surroundings for Cody and AEW was going on, none of us was there going, well, I should probably jump back to WWE. I bet they couldn't believe their luck when they got that call.
He cut, do you remember, after he lost the belt to Sammy Guevara in the ladder match, he cut a promo backstage and he kind of said, well, I don't know what's next to me, guys. And we're all going, yeah. But like when you've re-signed,
you like Bruce in the ring after Malachi Black.
Yeah.
So.
And the one thing nobody would have picked, obviously, until the moment actually happened, was the WWE return. So it's weird. I like.
Is it fair to say it wasn't a huge loss for AEW at the time in terms of like it wasn't like, oh wow, things are really going to have to change around there. It was just like they'd lost a piece of the puzzle, but there were so many other exciting things going on. We sort of didn't dismiss it, but we didn't regard it as such a huge loss for AEW. But without question, it was a huge get for WWE, and it transformed. I know other things that happened in and around those few years between then and now, but it transformed WWE, didn't it? I remember the sensation of being at 38 when he turned up, and he was like, and the performance that he put on against Seth, and you thought, so there's a shift here.
You could probably write books about 2022 in terms of the two wrestling companies in competition with one another, in the same way that you would maybe say like in 1997 or in 1998 between WWE and WCW. There are a lot of things that you can't necessarily see the impact of until they play out, Cody Rhodes leaving was a big one, but to your point, I remember at the time that feeling of, well, like just think about who came in 2021 and just think about how there's only so many spots on the roster. It's like, well, yeah, but what does CM Punk do after MJF? He's probably going to want to compete for the title, which he did against Hangman Page. What's Bryan Danielson going to do, having now feuded with Hangman Page? Where does he go? Adam Cole is still fresh and he's just finished feuding with Hangman Page. There's lots of things to do. This is assuming that at some point Kenny Omega won't want to return and get back in the mix at the top of the
Who's still going to jump from WWE to AEW?
Yeah, this was still like AEW definitely felt like they had the hot hand for talent who wanted that like fresh start. So competition was certainly getting rife for top spots within AEW. And in some respects, you can credit Cody with maybe reading the tea leaves and thinking, like, no matter how it works out over there, I'll be in a spot for a period that might be higher than the one I'm in AEW.
Think he'll ever go back?
I have always thought he would. Like, I don't know if when I hear little comments like this, if maybe it's frostier than we can see from the outside, but it's never say never in wrestling. I just think contracts come due, wrestlers see opportunities. I've always felt like there's still work to be done for Cody Rhodes and AEW, and that's all the more exciting for us. There is a new contract means the end of the old one where he can't fight for the world title. And that becomes this immediately cool narrative device. I've always thought it would happen. I guess we'll never fully know the extent of behind the scenes, but I was 17 years old when Eric Bischoff and Vince McMahon shook hands on stage, and it kind of, I was going to say it broke my brain. I think it fixed it. I was like, right, that's it. Like when it comes to simple stuff like millions of dollars, you just never say never. Like obviously very important stuff, but trivial things like wrestlers changing companies. You never rule out.
Look what his mates Matt and Nick are doing right now in AEW.
An excellent bit is getting even better on AEW Dynamite. Last night, the Young Bucks were in action as part of the tag team title tournament. They took on and defeated the Outrunners. And as part of that, following on from obviously them losing the EVP status at All In, and then appearing on Dynamite the next night with, shall we say, a scaled back presentation. They arrived in an Uber. They had Comic Sans on the Titantron. Justin Roberts was like, Matt and Nick, Jackson and Young Bucks. It's getting worse for the Young Bucks. Not only were they just like, it's Matt and Nick, but the graphic that appeared on screen was the template with none of the details in. So it just it said talent name and big letters, stat, and social media underneath. And I should point out as well, this graphic greeted the Young Bucks, who were already in the ring getting the traditional jobber entrance.
There you go.
So we come back, they've not even got like any of the entrance gear on, it's just Young Bucks in the tights, waiting for their opponents to arrive in the form of the Outrunners. It's really fun watching AEW play with the various tropes of what it is to be low on the pecking order. This reminded me of, do you remember when and this was such good, good attention to detail for an idea that ultimately never truly hit its potential. Do you remember when the Action Andretti Chris Jericho squash happened and Action Andretti was already in the ring and they put Chris Jericho's graphic over the top of him and it was like, botched by the guys there.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to win it. He was such a jobber, he didn't even get his talent name graphic on the screen. It's fun that they can play with how TV production presents wrestlers. It's like they're going to have to go to the drawing board and be like, what's the worst a wrestler was ever presented by a wrestling company? Give it to the Young Bucks. Good stuff, this.
Yeah, the only thing that could be worse for them is if they, split for some reason. And if they lose a match, for example, they say they split and they lose the match. and they do the thing they did with SCU. Well, there we go, Backstage. Let's go to something else.
I could see it, you know. I could absolutely see it.
I don't think they're splitting, obviously. But
I mean, you know, to be fair, they've advanced in the tag title tournament. So
they're still working brilliantly.
Yeah, I would say they're probably operating at about 24% capacity at the moment, which leaves about 76% off.
Why is that number familiar?
Well, because that's what you could get.
What?
If you sign up for NordVPN with the details in the description to this video. 76% off, 4 months free, and a $50 Amazon gift card.
It's a ridiculous deal.
Money for the industry leader in VPN. All the details in the video description below. Is the last day of the offer today? Or
we've extended it.
Oh,
we love you guys so much we've extended it.
I'll take advantage all the same anyway. I understand, as I was told in the office this week, of extra reasons why it might be a valuable service to you. I don't judge.
If you're in the UK.
We're listening, we don't judge. You do you. And indeed, you do you in the privacy of your own home with NordVPN.
I just like looking at certain things on the internet, pretending I'm from America.
Swear words.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on and talk about WWE Unreal, the new documentary series that dropped on Netflix at the start of this week, of course. It's brilliant. Me and Hamlet have been talking about it almost every day because we go home, watch an episode, and, have you seen the one with Jey Uso's push? I mean, you talk about WWE creating cinema. It's right there. It does look awesome the way they present.
It is cinematic in kind of every respect.
Yeah, Jey winning the Rumble. It is brilliant. But obviously there was quite a lot of trepidation around this, you know, pulling back the curtain too much or how it was going to work. But it all seems to be all right, although some interesting details have come out about it, courtesy of some more brilliant reporting from Fightful. Now, I will say, WWE sources that Fightful spoke to were especially happy about the buzz the show received within the wrestling world. I think everyone's talking about it. Like you say, it's everywhere on socials, and I think Andy said he hasn't watched any of it, but he feels like he's seen everything because all the clips are over social media.
I suppose it's very shareable, isn't it?
I have to keep... No, I haven't seen that episode yet.
Right.
Because I'm on episode 3 now, I think.
I think I'm on to 4.
Yeah, it's just fascinating stuff with everything that's gone on. Obviously, the way it's placed as well with the sort of road to WrestleMania and everything that we know that's already happened at WrestleMania 41. It's just a really intriguing look behind the scenes. Now, I will say, I don't think anyone went into it going, well, this is just amazing that they're allowing all this stuff to be revealed with no control over it whatsoever. I think we all got a sense that elements of this were going to be somewhat worked, and Fightful have sort of confirmed it with saying that certain people they spoke to saying that things have been set up somewhat. Now, I'm not saying that people have been told what to say and stuff like that, but a bit like with other, shows similar to this.
What do they call it? I've been trying to think of this phrase all week. Is it constructed reality?
Possibly.
There's a phrase, isn't there, that where reality TV is just like, can you go and have that conversation again because the lighting was wrong when we tried to get the real one on?
Can you specifically bring up this point or act like this is like a really... You know exactly how you're going to deal with it. You've already spoken to it. It's one of your best friends. But pretend like this suddenly's been dropped on you and it's the end of the world, so it can make it seem massive.
Do you know the one for me that is like I was never able to look at these shows again the same?
Go on.
Is in any TV show like this, when somebody knocks at the door, supposedly as a surprise, and then for whatever reason they do the over-the-shoulder shot of somebody opening the door, so the cameras, the light, and the boom mic and everything is already set up in that person's hallway. Like this goes right down to something like, "Come down with me. Oh, hello, great to meet you in this. Wow, what are you doing here?" Well, you see all these cameras here. Yeah. They weren't behind you before.
Do you reckon they've had like 5 runs at it? Go open the door. That's the postman. Okay, go and open the door. Some bloody kids playing knock a door run.
So much, do you know how expensive this equipment is? It's cost us £100 that knock door run. Knock door ginger.
But yes. So sometimes the sources have revealed that people may not have realised they were being filmed, but I think, everyone's sort of always on a little bit when they're backstage. Because it's not like if the Netflix cameras aren't there, there's no other cameras.
There's loads now, isn't there?
Yeah.
This has been a staple since the WWE Network.
WWE socials, people just on their phones, fans filming stuff as they reference with the Cody, Kevin Owens backstage fight and what have you. There was a scene at the Royal Rumble that was heavily influenced, says Fightful. The women's locker room was asked to empty out and cheer for Charlotte after she won the Royal Rumble. They weren't told to, they were simply asked to, but obviously, they want to present Charlotte Flair in a certain way. Yeah. And there were people who speculated that the derailment between Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton was manufactured, but they are only theories, Fightful insist. One WWE producer that Fightful spoke to said that they were concerned about the authenticity when the show was announced, but they've been very pleased with how it's turned out. They feared, some people did, that it would be a sort of work-shoot program when the trailer was the highlighting of iShow Speed being told, you're going to be in the Rumble, actually.
Yeah, total work.
And you see that sort of play out before it played out at the Rumble, obviously, with Triple H. It sort of they're plotting, aren't they? Like, right, Speed, you'll be here chatting to Steph. We'll bring Tozawa through. Poor Tozawa's just stood there. Yeah, so I'm going to get my head caved in.
Got it.
And then I'll just go and limp over there, shall I?
Yeah.
And then they say, right, we'll say, we need someone who's as close to the person to be right now. It just so happens to be you, Speed.
I suppose like
then you're going to smash the back of your leg up. Is that when he gets thrown on the table?
I think it must be, yeah.
Because I can't see it. When I first saw it, I thought it was like I was going to say a skid mark, like dragging of his leg along the floor when Bron Breakker spears out his goddamn shoes.
Your skin's not as callous to the bumps as wrestlers.
Yeah,
no,
I think he catches his leg on a chair or the edge of the table or something.
I'm surprised I was looking relieved because I only got to go out there and take one bump. I've got to take two and they're going to be brutal.
So they were concerned about that was going to be sort of revealing that it was, so unplanned.
Yeah.
But the way it's been handled, they see it as sort of an honest portrayal. And interestingly enough, production crew that they spoke to insisted that, yes, not many people knew about the John Cena heel turn. Similar to CM Punk's return, of course, at the Survivor Series 2023. I think only one person really knew about that outside of the obvious people, and he's sat right here, the OTJ, ladies and gentlemen. But, the Cena heel turn was kept in a very tight-knit circle, and I always like hearing stuff like that because, yes, I know we're in the business of revealing certain things, but even now as wrestling fans, I like being surprised by stuff like that.
I think what I'm realising is that, and I maybe should have thought about this beforehand, is that Unreal and the potential success of it will become a new way in which you, to paraphrase a recently passed away wrestler, like work a jabroni mark into a work shoot brother, work a jabroni mark. Like it's a new way of working the work because it's not like Unreal is this little hidden thing that only a certain tiny access. You know the myth, like this myth that the IWC still exists when shout out to Benno, a friend of ours, who says your fridge has got the internet now. Your fridge is part of the internet wrestling community. But that's the reality now. Everyone's online.
Pretty cold takes from that fridge as well.
That's nice work. Everyone can watch Netflix and see Unreal. If you're going in there, it's like, oh my God, I found the deepest, darkest secrets on the largest streaming service in the world, which is advertised front page.
I've already had mates of mine who don't keep it week to week with wrestling talk to me about it. It's an interesting window into it.
This is it, right? So they're showing you this. We are at the point now where the inception has gone to the point where even we're included, right? So we're talking Triple H was one of the first to acknowledge that openly that wrestling is a show about a show.
Yes.
You remember that when Raw his Netflix started and it begins with the Raiders and all that sort of stuff, right? So Raw, when you're watching Raw now, that's a show about a show, which these wrestlers live on, right? Now they've made Unreal, a show about a show about a show. Now we're making videos about it, aggregating news about it. So we're the show about the show about the show about the show. Okay? And next year, presumably if there's a season 2 of Unreal, in this same period of time, the Rumble at WrestleMania season, which makes no sense, right? Or a period of time after WrestleMania, so it's the aftermath. The stuff we've talked about, such as WWE falling out with Travis Scott, who features heavily in season 1, or the Seth Rollins injury, if it indeed is an injury, could find people doing the talking heads being we need to find new ways to fool people and confuse people, so we're using this, and then when they watch Unreal, they'll be we got. So at this point, we're show about. We're about 6-7 deep in the inception. But it's, again, something that I think that wrestling has struggled to grapple with for years, which is how do you present an authentic feeling work in the era of wrestlers themselves on social media, speaking out of character quite often. I don't think any new myths are being busted. My wife sat and watched the first episode with me.
My wife loved watching it as well.
Loved is a strong word. She got bored halfway through. But she did. She kind of I saw her appear up a little bit when John Cena was talking about finishing, and the overhead shot of Gorilla and seeing the shit. There was a shot. They just edited it nicely where it was a communication to the referee to ask if Jacob Fatu was selling or hurt. And it was just a simple little, and I think she'd known that through being stuck with me all these years, but just watching that little bit of detail was quite nice.
I know he's really liked several things. Number one was the way they've done that awesome, and my brain's not good enough to understand how they do it. You know when they're here's the Rumble, there's Bron Breakker over here, but remember when he did this over here?
I'm so glad that's on Netflix, because they've been using that for tweets, haven't they?
And I'm what's happening? Yeah. I don't understand what's happening. She also really liked Abyss, Joseph Park, being please don't be mad at me about the match.
I mean, that was a work, I think. That was the most obvious work for episode 1, wasn't it?
What wasn't at work, and that was the person going, who are you, to Jey Uso at the start of episode 2.
Brutal. Absolutely.
Are you Mark Henry or Tolly Blanchard? Which one are you?
Yeah.
Poor Jey, who's just had a long drive, Mark's behind me, who vouched for me. You see that big poster with my face on? Yeah, that's me.
And this is it. Wrestling can't help itself, just constantly working you and trying to manipulate your feelings, right? We've just discussed how, we've aggregated that, like, they got an entire crew of people out there to applaud Charlotte Flair, and they left in Jey Uso being ignored by a parking attendant. Like, there's the kind of, like...
That was before he got famous.
Of course, yes.
And his son mugged him off by saying, I think Uncle Jacob's actually in the Rumble. It's great. Go and check it out. It's fascinating.
Like, you could have left that out if you wanted, lads. We'll keep that in. But yeah, anyway, it gets the highest recommendation from me. You have to watch it, understanding that what you're watching is like a simulated reality, like everything else. But in terms of some of the beauty shots and in terms of some of the things that you, as I always say with these WWE documentaries, enjoy the foreground, but really watch the background.
Oh, yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff for you to look at while the actual thing you're supposed to be watching is happening.
You're talking to me back there.
Yeah.
Are they mates?
What's that printout say on the wall? Like that stuff. That gets me forever.
I showed Anne Louise the picture I took backstage at WWE Live Nottingham, which was just the piece of paper that just said Gorilla in it. I was like, stood next to one of those
That's
pictures.
the one. I would have done my own Triple H like point picture. Thanks for Gorilla position. So, right, last but not least, a little bit more on the Vince McMahon car crash story. Obviously, we aggregated everything that you need to know from, it was TMZ, wasn't it, initially, that broke the story. That, oddly enough, happened on the day that Hulk Hogan died.
Yeah.
It does make me wonder if Vince McMahon had already been told about that. And then...
It's very erratic driving by the sounds of things, isn't it?
But, yes.
But then again, as I've heard previously from Jim Cornette, that's not out of character.
To that point, more people have kind of come forward today to speak on this. Obviously, quite a big story, maybe in the shadow of a bigger one in terms of Hulk Hogan's passing, but as more news is kind of like dripped out about this, Fightful Select came through with some extra details around this, obviously, after the incident. They noted that the entire front passenger wheel ended up off as a result of the accident.
Sheared, wasn't it? That was the phrase I heard.
Yeah, which is like quite scary to think about.
I saw the images. It looked like a bad accident.
Yeah, will do when you're going at that crazy and like rash speed. But yes, the report goes on to say, quote, long-time employees and those close to Vince McMahon claimed it was a joke, but serious, within the company for many years that Vince was an erratic driver, to the point where someone in his close circle would intentionally not ride with him when he offered. Yeah, you mentioned Jim Cornette. Jim Ross has said that before as well. Yeah. This isn't a new thing with age. It has been the case dating back decades from what we're told. They would there are people on podcasts, Bruce Pritchard, I think, mentioned they would have races and stuff. It's like
insane.
It's dangerous. Don't do that sort of thing. Quote, there were many when the news broke that suspected Vince McMahon simply typically had a driver and hadn't been driving much lately. However, we're told, one source close to McMahon told Fightful, naturally he will be driven places, but that happened a lot more when he was on the road with WWE, and that he has always enjoyed driving himself. The same source said they believed it made McMahon feel grounded, while jokingly noting that while mentioning he drives a car that costs $250,000.
Yeah.
So, the rich people have a different way of being grounded,
yeah.
I suppose, don't they? You know what? I'll take the old dustbin on wheels out for a ride today. How much was it? $250,000. Can run the front end off it and just like write it off as a sort of... That mean you get like an extra coffee in the week, wouldn't
yeah.
you? Oh, God, I shouldn't have had that good breeze the other day. It's getting quite close to payday. I shouldn't have front-ended my $250,000 car.
He's an idiot driving like that. You don't care who you are.
72-year-old Barbara Dolan, who of course was hit.
Glad that people remarkably are all right. And her dog's all right. She mentioned on Facebook when she posted about it.
Her dog's fine, and so is of all people, this is per post wrestling.
This is insane.
Unless there's an incredible coincidence with the name, the 27-year-old person who was hit by some flying debris from the sheer impact of the vision, who was going where? To work at WWE. Quite remarkable.
Yeah. Please just be safe out there on the roads. Be sensible.
Yeah.
Better you're a little bit late than do something stupid like that, so...
Yeah,
I'm sure
that's what it was. I'm running really late now. So it's, just like, just don't do it. It's really dangerous.
Just a quick side note, I may be...
I've crashed my car this morning.
I may be being entrusted with driving Mark Henry when we go on tour for Sweet Chin Disco at one point. Good luck, Mark. If you want to get tickets for our shows, dice.fm, by the way.
Ask him if he was ever driven by Vincent McMahon and if it was scary. Because everybody that reports back says it was horrific.
He stuck with me for like 2 weeks. We've got a 9-date tour if you want to join us. We're all over the UK.
I have never felt more... like I'll be able to relate to Mark Henry than in the exact moments following the Sweet Chin Disco tour. We'll just give each other a look.
It's nice, isn't it? But it gets a bit much, doesn't it?
You know that meme where like the woman sort of does the two looks at each other? Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts on today's news
I'll give him a number via Wilborn. We have a little support group. It's all right.
Let us know your thoughts on everything discussed in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And while you're at it, why not check out this video right here? I've no idea what it is, but I'm sure it's great.
It's class. It's better than anything else you watch.
Bye.